You went out to produce that show. Aaron Carter was the guest because he was fighting Lamar Odom that week.
He shows up about 45 minutes late.
Okay.
Perfect. On brand.
I don't know if him and his, I guess, wife or girlfriend at the time were sharing a car, but she was pregnant and needed to go to the doctor's office. Now, someone being super famous as Aaron Carter, and my assumption of his wealth, there wouldn't be a problem getting his baby mama to the doctor.
Uh-huh.
But it just felt like he kind of, I guess they like both had to go or something.
No, they both. When was this interview?
2020.
Yeah, it was recent.
He wouldn't. I had a baby, a pregnant wife in 2020. You weren't allowed in those fucking things with COVID.
That's right. Yeah.
So
I only got to go to one,
especially
ultrasound.
in LA. Especially in LA.
So, I mean, he could have been lying.
Yeah.
He could have been scoring some
The
drugs.
drug addict might have lied.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, hot take for sure. But
It's weird because we're getting so stoned, and he's just telling me about the future, and I'm not believing any of it, and I'm just looking at his face tat the whole time.
Because he had a huge face tat.
Yes.
Pull up his last picture of him.
he got a lot more after that.
What was he saying about the future?
That his new album was just going to be so great that he was just like on the trajectory back. Like he felt like he had never left.
Okay.
So but all the people around him are people that you had never heard of. It's like, I just met this new guy at a bar last night. Now he's my manager. And that guy showed up as well the whole time.
That guy did too.
Yeah, I think he actually used to be his accountant.
Okay.
And then turned into his manager / best friend. It was kind of just like running his life for him and with him. It was...
This is bummed me out.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is
dude.
a massive face tattoo there. Holy shit. And then after that, how did you guys leave it?
He got too high, and then his manager had to like walk him out in a way. Because it was one of those pre-rolls like covered in keef.
Sure.
Yeah, because I was smoking outside.
Kill people with those, dude.
I know, those are massive.
You know, drug addicts got to do a drug addict thing.
Sure.
And he smelled it. He was like, "Oh, you should have shared." And I was like, "Sure, I'll share." And God, it's just, he was younger than me. Like, I remember being a kid and the Backstreet Boys and seeing Aaron Carter come out in that puffy coat. Like, I was a Kid Rock fan when he was imitating that music video.
Right.
Where you had like the young girls. Like, I idolized him in like weird ways as a child. And then to just see him like impersonate a wannabe SoundCloud rapper from Atlanta, and then like just like tick all the boxes of that as well with like who he surrounded himself with and the way he lived his life. Like, I just didn't get it. Like how do you fall like that? Like how do you not?
I've seen
people around
so many
you?
fucking people though out there fall exactly like that, where it just gets dark and it's like you lose your agents, you lose your managers. Now it's your buddy who used to run this, and it's all very sketch.
There's no
and they're just trying to
self-awareness.
keep them alive so they can get paid, and they're going to feed them full of drugs and all this other shit. And you're like, all right, I guess. But I'm looking at this. They said up in the weeks until his death, he was working on an album. So maybe that is true, but who fucking knows, dude? The crazy thing to me is if you're starting to lose your money and all that other shit, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC went on tour around the world and are destroying it. I mean, sold out everywhere they go. I think even Dan Holloway went with Jared.
He did.
He did, yeah. If Aaron called his brother and said, look, I'm sorry I was a fucking asshole and everything else. Can I open up for you guys around this thing? All of them would have said yes.
He could have done his own tour.
Yes.
He should have toured with Shaq.
He could have done all the things if he wanted to.
DJ Diesel.
I know. But he didn't, and I think in that interview he did say that he beat Shaq in a one-on-one basketball game, right?
I believe he
in the
did.
Song, yeah.
Yeah. And then he also said that he was in Michael Jackson's limo when the planes flew over the limo and crashed into the towers during 9/11.
He was supposed to be on it, and like people were calling him, I guess. He was supposed to be on the planes for 9/11. Michael Jackson was in boxers smoking weed over his sleeping body.
Yep.
Gave him the Thriller jacket, which I think he still has, and like is his most precious possession ever.
Really?
Yeah, so like Michael gave it to him, and then he went around telling everyone, like it was almost like he was knighted by Michael or anointed as the next up. And so he constantly brings up like he had the most like #1 songs in a short period of time, or like the most streams like sales on this, and it was just like, oh, like you felt like you were anointed by Michael as next, like you were the Islam Makhachev of music.
Brandy had said that she felt like she was anointed by Whitney Houston. before her death, and it's like, no, nobody
like,
did either.
This
of those
is
things.
your sick obsession.
Yeah.
No one else believes
The
this.
world tells you that, not yourself.
Right.
Like you can't definitely do that.
Right. It's like some self-fulfilling prophecy. And then when that all didn't work out, it was like it was everyone else's fault or the world's fault in a way. Like, I don't know.
So we've gotten a lot of weird DMs since his death on that show. People are going back and listening to it. I guess it's one of the last podcasts he did or something like that.
Yeah.
It's been strange. And I'm like, everybody's just like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, hey, dude.
It was weird because he had this personal connection with Chuck about fighting in a way. I don't know if Chuck used to train him or
He
like
did.
help work him out.
Yeah, he did.
But like it was, and he never called Chuck before it. He was just like, oh, I showed up on his interview. I showed up on his podcast, and he had these like weird delusions about the fight game. He had these like weird delusions about his training and his trainer. Like apparently, one of his trainers broke his rib before the fight. In a way,
we saw the fight. We
Yeah,
know
he got
what
destroyed.
happened.
He got destroyed. And I asked
Oh,
Chuck
you
about
guys
it.
went to it?
No, we watched it on.
It was in
Oh,
Atlantic
oh.
City.
Yeah, we watched it on pay-per-view. But Chuck was actually the referee for that fight.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I asked Chuck. Well, Chuck was on the
Oh,
show
sad.
promoting it the week before,
was
and I
sad.
go, "Hey, dude, can he box?" And he's like, I trained him or whatever. And I was like, "Great, give us the honest stuff." And he's like, "Man, he can hit."
Also,
and I was like,
What? What doesn't matter? He's 5'8", and
Yeah, I
he's
said-
fighting Lamar
Yes.
Odom.
and
Yes.
Lamar's massive.
"I know."